Hey there, everybody. Michael Bolton III here with Lazarus Tellraven on the 6th day of the Alliance Tournament 10. Now, before I throw it over to Lazarus Tellraven, I just want to mention that both these teams have brought their flagships. We're going to see a lot of this on the field, and hopefully some of it die. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these setups?
Yeah, these are actually really similar setups. We have two Bailgorns on each side, which I believe are the flagships, and you have two Nightmares for the Ev0ke side. Lots of lasers, 3 Oracles for Raiden. You're going to see lots of Scorch. These teams are way away from each other. They will take the warp in diagonals from each other. It's probably about 120 at least away from each other. I think this really favors the Nightmares in this match because they have a little more tank. They're going to be able to tank these Oracles a little bit better. And we're just going to have to wait and see.
Do you think we're going to see ASBs on those Nightmares?
I don't know. I mean, because Ev0ke does have the Guardian. I don't see any shield hardeners for them yet.
And we already have damage coming into that Guardian. Excellent primary pick for the Raiden team. If they can drop that Guardian, it's going to be a big game changer, especially if they can make it out unscathed. Yep. They are a ship down. Raiden is a ship down just because they chose to bring higher point ships, only bring 11 people, and we have the Guardian already into half armor.
Yep, we are seeing armor rep drones being put on this Guardian, but it's not going to be enough to keep this thing afloat against these Oracles. The Nightmares are caps transferring each other, so you see a little bit of a cap chain going between the Nightmares and the Guardian. And the Nightmares are armor tanked. They are both armor tanked.
Now, with the distance that they're at now, as they approach each other, eventually you're going to see newts and webs applied from these faction or officer fit Bailgorns, and that's just going to annihilate cap and slow ships down to a standstill. It's going to be very interesting to see how they choose to position those Bailgorns against each other to properly snipe out the right ships that try to approach and close some distance.
Well, it's important to note, though, the 3 faction battleships for the Ev0ke side are being remote sensor dampened. They aren't able to shoot. You're not seeing any damage coming from these faction battleships on the Ev0ke side. They cannot lock these targets at such extreme ranges.
Yeah, it's an interesting fact that Raiden has chosen to go with sensor damps, and Ev0ke has only chosen to go with tracking disruptors. And damage is still holding on that Guardian, not as much coming in and being able to be held by those armor rep drones.
Yeah, they got to get these sensor amps off the field. I mean, they're trying to force them to get closer, and once they get closer, that Guardian's going to take a lot more damage. But they're able to pull it back so far with the reps of the rep drones.
Yeah, those are almost certainly optimal range scripted tracking disruptors. So not as much damage coming in. These Oracles and this Bailgorn are almost certainly shooting and fall off, long fall off, and not great for their pulse lasers, I believe.
Yep, actually, you just saw the Oracles quit shooting for a while. They are switching crystals to actually 1 Scorch and then 2, I believe, standard maybe. I'm not exactly sure the ammo that they switched to, but they're not in extreme max range ammo. So as these ships start to get closer, they're going to switch ammo to get more DPS out of these mega pulses on the Oracles.
Newts and webs landing on the 2 Vengeance for the Ev0ke team. The first action from these Bailgorns likely seen on the field. And there goes one of the Vengeances for Ev0ke. Yep. We have the first ship death of this match. And the other Vengeance quickly dropping behind it. And there it goes. Man, they're just shooting right through these frigates. I think this was a good switch. They could not break the Guardian, so he chose to knock out all the support.
Well, the big issue here is these Vengeances are getting out ahead of the reps. I mean, the Guardian, the Nightmares, and the Bailgorn are all getting sensor damped, and they can't get reps across the field to the Vengeances that are burning ahead.
Yeah, and as these frigates drop, all those tracking disruptors that we previously saw will slowly drop off, and all of these Oracles to provide their full DPS onto the other team.
Yeah, this batch is going extremely well for Raiden. It was a very good setup. They came at extreme ranges. They weren't able to get DPS across the field, but it looks like these Oracles might have been fit very low tank and just to be able to kite and stay at range.
Yeah, it's actually so strange to see these heavy Amar steps that we don't typically see in this year's tournament, and especially at the warp-ins that they got. This was pretty much the ideal match to create a very intricate chess game between the 2.
Yeah, and these Oracles aren't having to run their MOD. They get to use all that cap to power those mega pulses. As you know, lasers take a lot of cap. They're not really having any major E-War being applied to them. You got a few tracking disruptors on one of the Oracles and some target painters out there, but really you're not seeing much. These damps are doing a tremendous job of keeping DPS off the Raiden side.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very dangerous for these Nightmares and Bailgorns to approach into the opposing Bailgorn, especially with those damps on them, because the Bailgorn from Raiden will be able to apply its newts and apply its webs before the Nightmare and the Bailgorn can even lock. So the problem is that Raiden is in complete control of range right now with those damps. but
Yeah.
Ev0ke must approach.
Well, they've got Ev0ke in a little bit of a corner. Ev0ke's balling up, trying to wait for the oracles to come to them. And these oracles are just burning through cap, firing and firing and firing. I want to say that eventually Ev0ke's going to let them just use up that energy.
That Guardian is about to go down, and that's huge. It's already leaking into structure. If that Guardian drops, the match I would think is almost over.
Yeah, into structure. I mean, and there it goes. It's dead. That was the final straw of this match. I mean, they can't get any DPS across the field.
And
the Guardian's down.
Now we finally see the approach of the Nightmare and the Battleborn, but I think it was too late, and that heavy damage being applied to the Oracle. We'll see the reps, and there are the reps landing from the Guardian, but I think it will be able to hold, likely, until the newts are applied to either the Guardian or that Oracle to shut off its hardeners.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of DPS from these Nightmares, and that Guardian for Ev0ke really should have stayed back. Let these big plated battleships get ahead of it.
Yeah, no, I think this was sort of a match where you didn't want to get in close because you know the ideal range for your ships is a longer range. But when you have those stamps on you, you have to get in their face. Otherwise, you will just eventually be eaten away slowly.
Yeah, and these oracles are kiting back and forth in and out of the laser range of the Nightmares. As you see them start to pulse into a few cycles just to get up back towards their Baelgorn.
So we see the Baelgorn for Ev0ke dropping to Raiden's fire. Perhaps Raiden will try and lose some ships, sneaking in to loot that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the Baelgorn for Ev0ke get really low, about 20% armor. They don't have the ASBs like we've been saying for the shield tank ships. I mean, they have no reps here. I mean, they're just going to slowly die to the just the EHP of these buffer tanks. This is their flagship, the Baelgorn. So once they lose it, I mean, I'm sure this is a shiny ship.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Guardian paired with the Nightmares. The Nightmares a traditionally shield tank ship, so I would be interested to see if they they tried to squeeze in an armor tank into the Nightmare and then fill out the mids with utility mids.
Well, you get the two Nightmares in the Baelgorn. They all have utility highs. I mean, I think that's really what they went for as the flagship for Ev0ke went down, piloted by Red Shadow.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that kill mail, see what sort of delicious loot that dropped. Certainly, they're going to try and loot the field. Surprisingly, not a lot of things for Ev0ke dropping. Raiden has still only killed 40 points.
Yeah, you're seeing their DPS being switched to the Nightmare. They could be that these Oracles are getting a little bit low on cap, but I mean, they do have the Guardian to cap transfer him, who he is cap transferring with the Baelgorn at the moment.
Yeah, there's no chance for Ev0ke to break the reps of Raiden, especially with the Baelgorn gone. There may have been a possibility of the Baelgorn nooning out that Guardian, but the Guardian is so much faster than the Baelgorn, especially with the webs of the opposing Raiden flagship Baelgorn.
Yeah, I really think they just didn't use the mid slots that they had available to them that effectively. They get 4 Vengeances, which are very beefy ships. They really should use their utility better.
Yeah, and there you can see the other Nightmare just dropping a little bit ago. They're going to burn through the last Nightmare and then try and chase down those frigates, but the win is pretty much secured at this point. Although that poor Maulus, Ev0ke will show that Maulus pilot who is boss, knock him out, and reps land. So we'll have to see if that Maulus pilot survives by the skin of his teeth. Another Crusader for Ev0ke about to drop, and there he goes. It's interesting that they're leaving the Nightmare alive for just a little longer while they took that Crusader down. Yeah,
they're just getting through the last of that armor buffer. He's heading structure, going to melt. It doesn't have that plate to buffer the structure damage, and I mean, that's 3 dead faction battleships right there. I mean, that's a lot of money dead, especially with that flagship going down. That's I believe the 3rd flagship for this tournament to die.
Yeah, we see a lot of damage coming across to the shields of those Enyos. Unfortunately, Enyos not necessarily too hampered by taking shield damage. High damage ships. We see almost troll reps, 4 reps, 1 rep being applied to each Enyo just to make sure nothing dies.
Yeah, we're getting down to about the 1 minute 30-second mark, so match is about to be over. We got 2 Vengeances, Kruger, and Merlin still left on the field.
Yeah,
I say that, the Vengeance died.
Yeah, the Vengeance was webbed almost certainly by an officer faction web. Web strength so strong, and web distance. We have the last crew going down also under web.
Yeah, very strong setup from Raiden. I mean, they were able to keep Ev0ke at range.
Well, how do you think the Lachesis? Do you think the Lachesis was a good pick for there? Or would you prefer a different ship, or do you think they just picked it?
No, I mean, the Lachesis gets the damp bonus.
Yeah, that's true.
It worked out amazing. I would have to say that Lachesis probably has mids full of sensor damps and maybe a micro warp drive, because it doesn't really have to worry about cap recharge as it has the Guardian that can pump them with cap every once in a while.
I actually don't like from Ev0ke the tracking disruptors in such a long range setup.
Yeah, well, I think they were anticipated coming against a much different team. One Vengeance left for the Evoke side, and that will complete the match once it's dead. There's about 35 to 40 seconds left in the match.
Yeah, no. I think I actually like this match. It could have gone either way. The interplay of a Balgorn, which is such a envelope of danger ship, and the fact that they were both officer fits, I think it also played into who had the better officer fit maybe, or who had the better faction fit. Then it gets the extra range to push that envelope and sort of pressure the other team.
Well, it's really amazing how far they started apart with their warp ins. I mean, and those oracles were able to reach out and hit that guardian immediately, right as the match started with the scorch from the pulse lasers. You have the Evoke Vengeance. He's going to be kiting around, just try to deny some points.
Yep.
So,
and that will be the match running out of time. An excellent victory for Raiden Dot, and we will throw it back to CCP Soundwave in the studio.